It's a place that has lost jobs faster than anywhere else in America. In 1 year, the unemployment rate went from 4.7% to 15.3%. Companies that have sustained this community for years are shedding jobs at an alarming speed. And the people who've lost them have no idea what to do or who to turn to. They can't pay their bills, and they've stopped spending money. And because they've stopped spending money, more businesses have been forced to lay off more workers. In fact, local TV stations have started running public service announcements that tell people where to find food banks, even as the food banks don't have enough to meet the demand.
Cavities can affect people of all ages. Cavities, or tooth decay, is when acid-producing bacteria destroy tooth enamel. This happens when particles from sugary foods like soda, raisins, candy, or even milk are left on the teeth. Bacteria thrive on these foods and produce acid. Over time, the acids can break down tooth enamel, and you're left with a cavity. As you age, gum recession and gum disease may begin to occur. This exposes the tooth roots to plaque, and they become more prone to tooth decay. You can help prevent cavities by brushing your teeth twice daily, flossing once a day, and visiting your dentist regularly. Also, limit your snacking and eat well-balanced meals. Remember, cavities don't just happen overnight. It's up to you to stop the decay before it starts. For the ADA Dental Minute, I'm Dr. Maria Lopez-Howell.
Thank you and welcome back to the second segment of the show for today. We're talking to Dr. JParuchuri, a professor of political science at Tennessee State University, and the topic is terror at Mumbai. And of course, Dr. JParuchuri has already outlined the significance of this great city and the importance of such a terror attack. And of course, Dr. JParuchuri, let us continue by having you to look at the two participants in a real sense in terms of countries and dealing with this particular incident.
I must tell you, Dr. Haney, of course, right now Pakistan denies that it had anything to do with the terror attack in Mumbai. But definitely there has been a lot of strained relations between the two countries. But also, I think India and Pakistan have a sort of love and hate relationship. The simple reason being we share a lot of commonality in our culture. They have, before Pakistan became an independent country, the entire subcontinent was ruled by the British. So we have had great deal of common experiences. And unfortunately, when the British left, the subcontinent was divided into two nations, one being India, the other being Pakistan. It led to a lot of hardship, strained relations between the Hindus, which are the majority in India, and the Muslims, who are the minority. And the areas that were dominated by Muslims, that became Pakistan. Of course, until 1970, they had East Pakistan and West Pakistan, which is today Bangladesh. But one of the things that occurred after this partition was an incident and ongoing strained relationship between India and Pakistan, and that being the issue of Kashmir. India says that Kashmir is an integral part of India, whereas Pakistan says that it is a disputed territory. So the place has been claimed by Pakistan, and while India is holding part of the Kashmir region. This whole conflict occurred because, to begin with, originally the ruler of Kashmir was a Hindu king. And when there was some tribal activities and problems, the Hindu kings sought protection from India and acceding to India. But the majority of the population in Kashmir are Muslims. So Pakistan has said that Kashmir, the entire region, is part of Kashmir, and it has claimed the right to that region. But India also has this opinion that there are 14% of population in India are Muslims. And most of the regions where Muslims are present, there's always been a great deal of peaceful relationship. I went to college with a lot of Muslim students, and I was never aware of any strained relations between us. And likewise, in many parts of the country, and Muslims and Hindus have got along. But the introduction of sectarian politics has caused sometimes a great deal of strained relationship between the two religious groups, and resulting in some harsh communal clashes between the two groups. Now, this is actually the origin of the conflict. It is an ongoing conflict. For the longest time, the conflict was restricted to the region of Kashmir, and the conflict was between the two governments stationing their military, and it was never widespread into the interior parts of the country. Now enter the later part of 19th century, 1990s, 80s, 90s, and 2000. What we are seeing is that this conflict and strained relationship, the result of it is now a terrorist kind of approach to saying that we are one way or the other, not just going to keep it within the bounds of government, this issue. These groups are going to also cause some kind of impact on the government to see that this Kashmir joins Pakistan. So currently, I would say this is no longer restricted between the two governments. It has gone beyond the governments to non-national, non-state groups, I would say. So that is the current strain, and that's the reason that we see that non-state group such as Lashkar-e-Taiba, which is now being accused of responsible for Mumbai terror, causing this pain on the Indian soil.
And so, over the last 3 minutes that we have before the end of this segment, Dr. Paruchuri, the whole issue of Kashmir is still the central issue, and it's simply carried out in terms of terror and in terms of any other way, but the issue is still Kashmir. Is that what? And that if a solution is to be reached, it will have to be reached somewhere around the disposition of Kashmir.
Yeah, but for Lashkar-e-Taiba, it's not just Kashmir. Its agenda is really to bring many parts of Southeast Asia under the orbit of Islam. So Lashkar-e-Taiba has a larger agenda than just Kashmir. If it was just an issue of Kashmir, probably we would say that India and Pakistan could resolve this issue. There might be a possibility, but you have a non-state actor there. And this non-state actor has a much larger agenda. I know what he had actually, it has actually pronounced. One of the agendas being that it has a larger issue of bringing the entire region under the Islamic orbit. So we cannot say that this particular act of terrorism is simply just a targeted agenda, which is just one agenda.
It's much greater than that.
It is much greater than.
But it has drawn the Indian and Pakistani individuals from both sides into this conflict. Would that be the impact of this terror?
Actually, this terror should also be some concern for Pakistan, because the Pakistani government has denied that it has had any kind of support for this group. So, although some people think that they suspect that they have initially given their support for Lashkar-e-Taiba, there's no knowing whether this particular non-state group will end with achieving this single goal of Kashmir. It may have cause other problems for Pakistan itself. So
a wink and a nod, in a real sense, from Pakistan to these individuals without really supporting them as such. Would that be a characterization?
That is the suspicion. That is the suspicion.
Very good. Of course, let me take this second commercial break, Dr. Paruchuri, and then we'll come back and deal with other issues. Of course, we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break. The guest is Dr. Paruchuri.